Hello, everybody! Welcome to this edition about the question, what is shamanism and how can this help you in your daily life? Why is shamanism a topic for you? Why is it important to understand the basics of shamanism and where is this all coming from? A very wise family member remembered me to make a video about that and to explain a little bit from my experience what shamanism really is, because many people out there have only heard about shamanism in the context of a healer in the Amazonas running around a fire or people drumming. That is what is the first impression when we think about shamanism. But shamanism is not only from the North or South American culture. It is still actively present there, so they never lost their tradition. But it doesn't mean that we haven't had shamanism here in Europe as well. Actually, the Celtic tradition, the German, the Germanic, the Russians, the Siberians, the Scandinavians, all of them had shamanism. And due to the rush of the Romanian Empire and the church, we lost our roots and traditions, our knowledge. The witches have been burned, the books have been burned. There's so much knowledge that has been lost in those times. So that for us nowadays, shamanism is like voodoo and we don't know what exactly it is or where it's coming from, and we rather like, why would we need it, right? Why would we need it? So I now give you a very short and brief and direct description of what shamanism means for me and how that can help you in your daily life. And also how shamanism is not so far from what you're already doing. It's just another name, actually, for all the things going on within you and around you. So, for example, if you have the rose flower with its indulgent smell, beauty, expansive beauty, and the fine spikes to make sure you treat her with respect and carefulness. Apart from just the plant features, just imagining the rose flower gives you a feeling, a sensation, and a connection with the medicine. What is the medicine of the rose flower? It is helping you to get in your rightful posture, have self-respect, be treated in a respectful way, bloom, flourish without making yourself smaller. The rose is a symbol for not being afraid of envy from others. You just bloom because you're so beautiful, so you shine and bloom and blossom. You make sure that nobody who wants to harm you gets close to you, and you're just very attractive and beautiful for everybody who's seeing you. So that is just the image of the rose. It's helping you to connect with these features of the rose. And that is what shamanism calls medicine. So you don't actually need to have a physical substance for medicine, but just the energy of something, just the connection you have to a thing on earth, a flower, a stone, an animal, whatever. Just your unique connection to that thing is already a medicine, because due to your imagination, due to your experiences, and due to the qualities of the energy, which I call frequency, you have a connection and a transportation of the medicine of that flower, stone, or whatever. So this is how shamanism works. It is invoking frequencies and energies, helps you to connect to them, remember them, and have a positive impact on them. So you have a topic, you have a problem, you have something you want to heal, and then you call a frequency that is helpful, like a patch, gently, helpfully resolving and healing that topic for you. And that is the secret of shamanism. And it goes much, much further, of course, but just to give you a basic understanding, what is shamanism? It is the invocation of frequencies of energies that are healing and helpful according to our resonance with it. So what I do in my shamanic sessions, when I do soul retrieval, for example, that's one of my favorite methods. I discovered that on my own when I was 15 years old. And more than 10 years later, I found that it has a name in shamanism. So when we are experiencing trauma, a big trauma in our life, we take a part of our soul and put it outside of our system. Because without that part that has experienced the trauma, we feel safe and able to survive. So it is a security mechanism to have a piece of your soul stored outside of yourself in a safe space. Those who know Harry Potter, it's called a horcrux in Harry Potter, by the way, it is existing. In shamanism, they call it soul retrieval. And in psychology, you call it post-traumatic stress disorder, or you call it, like a traumatic reaction on something, a dissociation of a part of yourself. So they are the same names based in the ancient wisdom, like from thousands of years ago, or you can take a modern name that is found in psychology, or you can make a fantasy name like it's found in Harry Potter. It is all the same thing. It is all the same truth. So what I do, or what I discovered for myself, is that I was feeling into my system, and I was feeling that there is something inside of me, no matter how much energy I put inside of myself, it is still kind of losing. I felt like my center, my belly, there's a hole. So I was like, no matter how good I eat, how much sport I do, how healthy I am, how positive I am, no matter how good I treat myself, there is like a hole in my system and the energy is leaving. It felt like I'm losing energy. And when I looked with my third eye into my energetic system, I saw a hole in my solar plexus chakra. And the solar plexus is like the third wheel of energy coming from known from the Ayurvedic medicine or the Indian traditions, working more with the chakra system. So that energy for willpower, for life energy, motivation, drive in life, like this positive direction of setting boundaries and knowing who you are in life. There was something missing in me, and I saw that. So I was like thinking and analyzing where and when in my life I lost that piece of myself. And then I found back a situation in my childhood where I was always in the night going into my wardrobe like they do in Narnia. I was doing that as a child. I never heard Narnia before that, but I was doing the same. So in the night I went to my wardrobe and I dived into the world of my fantasy. So during the day I was a good child and I was behaving and I was like playing and happy and content, but I felt afraid to dive into my fantasy. So I stored that piece into the wardrobe to make sure that in the night I could crawl into it and then see this whole beautiful world that my fantasy was creating. And that, I think it was when I was 8 years old that I did that I went into my wardrobe every night to dive into my fantasy world. So when I was like, let's say 8 years later, scanning my chakra system and seeing that there is something missing, I remembered that as a child I always went into that wardrobe. And I was like, it feels like that part that is missing in my body, in my belly, that it is stored in that wardrobe. So it felt like I put away a part of my fantasy, a part of my power, my potential, my energy into that wardrobe to make it safe. But because it was unconsciously happening as a child, of course I didn't make sure that when I moved out of the place that I took that piece with me. So I forgot it there, literally. And I remembered it in the moment I was analyzing, where is my piece missing? So what I did was, like, I think 10 years later, that I went to that place of the first, like the second home from my childhood. Like, I had moved away there when I was 10 years old, and then I had moved again when I was 17, I had moved again when I was 18. So I was already far away from that place. But I rang the bell and I just wanted to go to my old childhood room. And a beautiful lady opened, and I told her I am currently resolving traumas from my childhood, and if she would allow me to go and for a second to go into that room of my childhood. So when I went there, and I she just allowed it. She just said, like, yeah, okay, that's very brave of me, and she wants to support me on my healing, and she was really respecting and acknowledging what I was doing, and she opened her doors for me, which, like, I'm very grateful for, very grateful still. And she let me in that room, and in the moment I positioned myself in front of the place where my old wardrobe had been standing when I was a child. I could feel something zooming into my system, and I was like, and I had a rush of energy, and I was like, whoa, what was that? And I looked at her, and I was like, I think that's already it, thank you, I just need to see it for 1 second. And then I was processing, and I could feel the part being back in my system. So I could feel that this part that I remembered, rediscovered, and then I went to the place where it physically was stored, like the horcruxes in Harry Potter. I went there and it zoomed back into my system, and ever since my big healing journey started, and like that was the first piece that I consciously called back to myself, and it changed everything, because after that I started to have my own will again. It was the solar plexus chakra. So after that I was having and building energy. I had a will, I had an intention, I started knowing what I want to do, and I started to be able to walk the directions I wanted to for my own life. Before I was more like floating, and I was adapting all the time, and I was allowing all the time, and I was just doing whatever made other people happy. And that made me happy, so that was fine. But I didn't feel like I'm moving really forward in my own purpose of life. And after I had that call back of my energy, I was able to. And then 10 years after that, I discovered that this is the basic method of soul retrieval which the shamans practice. So I was like, that's what I'm doing. Of course, after that I continued and I found more pieces of my soul. But before I knew it had a name and a root in shamanic traditions, I was experiencing that on my own, with my intuition. So what is to sum it up, what is the story in this? Shamanism is existing in our tradition as well, in our European tradition. It has been there for many thousands years, and it still is there. First. Second, shamanism is no blah blah blah. It can actually be experienced through psychological techniques and analyzing, because that's what I have been doing. I have been analyzing myself. Not only my thoughts, my feelings, my energy. I have been analyzing my energy, and that was leading me intuitively to methods that can be found in shamanism. But they also have a name in psychology. So whatever you call it, it is part of your life. You have energy, you are energy, you have energy around you, and you are in interaction with all the energies. And shamanism can help you to be conscious how to deal with those energies, how to make the best out of these energies, how to change those energies, and how to make yourself feeling complete and empowered again. And that is what I dedicated myself to after I discovered those things for myself, after I studied them with different teachers, different methods, different traditions. I am now here to help others to guide themselves back into their own potential. And I hope this video helps you a little bit to understand how shamanism is a base of our daily lives, how it actually is a key to improving our daily lives, to making your life the best possible version, and to help you to connect with all the parts of yourself that belong to you. Namaste, thank you, aho, and have a beautiful week.